Hello everyone and welcome back. We're going to be reading a little book of Hygge. So without further ado, shall we begin? Now, we're about to enter chapter 2. See, there's some nice pictures of cups with hot liquid in. Now, I think the book does recommend hot chocolate, but I think any hot drink of your preference is just as good. Chapter 2. The mini chapter is called Tourette's Syndrome. See? The Danish language has been called many things, but seldom beautiful. If you look up Danish sounds like on your search engine, and the first two suggestions that usually appear are German and potato. To foreigners, Danish sounds like someone speaking German and with a hot potato in their mouth. I suppose it would to some, because Danish is a Germanic language after all, and you know, Germany's here and Denmark's right up there, right next to it, on the border. So there's bound to be some similarities. To be fair though, some people have also suggested somewhat like a deceased seal choking. Now, that's a bizarre one, because I don't think anyone's actually heard a deceased seal choking. Then again, I've heard people make similar comments about the Welsh language too. I also remember there was one comedian that said that compared the Danish language to choking. So, languages, if you don't understand them, do sound funny. Personally, I've heard Scandinavian languages spoken. I don't understand any of them, but they sound rather nice, I think. They have a nice Hygge feel to them, I think. But that's just me, though. Not that it really matters. Anyway, let's get back to the book. Nevertheless, it is rich when it comes to describing Hygge. Hygge comes in the form of both a verb and an adjective. Something can be Hyggelig, which means Hygge-like. What a Hygge-like living room, you could say, or Hyggelig. It was so Hyggelig to see you. Have a Hyggelig time. That sounds nice. Actually, suggestion, if you can feel, try use Hyggelig in modern day conversation, just see what weird looks you get. So I guarantee you will get them. We throw the words Hygge and Hyggelig around so much that, to foreigners, it appears as if we are suffering from a benign form of Tourette's syndrome. We have to state how Hyggelig everything is all the time, and not just in the Hygge moment itself. We're talking about how Hyggelig it will be to get together on Friday. And on Monday we will remind each other of how Hyggelig Friday was. Hygge is a key performance indicator of most Danish social gatherings. Honey, do you think our guests are Hyggelig themselves? In the past tense. Don't attempt to pronounce it. Wish the book told me that before. But there's a little picture. Hygge. And on to the next page. I can turn it. Come on. You know you want to. Yeah, come on. There we go. Got it. Sorry about the juggling camera tonight, people. I'm not very good at it tonight. But we shall persevere. Every few weeks, I meet up with a group of guys to play poker. It is quite an international group of people from Mexico, the USA, Turkey, France, India, and Denmark. Over the years, we covered most subjects ranging from women to how to optimize the range to how. I think there's a comma missing here. Subjects, let's go back a little bit. We talk from subjects ranging from women, how to optimize the range of an orange cannon. I assume that's a cannon that fires oranges, not a cannon that is painted orange. So I don't think that would really make much of a difference. And due to the diversity of our group, our conversations are always in English. That does make sense. Nevertheless, there is one Danish word that is often used around the table, and I'm sure you've already guessed it. Often it will come from Danny from Mexico after losing a big hand. He will say, "It doesn't matter, I'm just here for the hygge." The hygge factor is not just a key performance indicator for social events. It's also a not so unique selling point for cafes and restaurants. If you search for beautiful restaurant in Danish, your search engine will provide you with 7,000 hits. Searching for a quality restaurant will give you 9,600 options, and cheap restaurant 30,600. Hygge restaurant gives you 88,900 hits on popular search engines. As Lonely Planet points out, the Danes are obsessed with coziness. All of them. Even the toughest leather-clad biker will recommend the bar based on its hygge factor. And before we go on further, I'm going to show you a little diagram they've drawn here about whether hygge can be translated or not. And I'll let you look at the results. Here's one next page. We'll read that when we finish the page. It means that everything you learned on that marketing class was wrong. Price, product, place and promotion can kiss my rear end. It is all about the hygge. I live in Copenhagen. Cafes are plentiful, and there is one right across the street from my apartment. Their coffee is an abomination. It tastes like fish. Yes, I too was surprised. And it costs €5. I still go there sometimes. They have an open fireplace. It's hygge. Question, people. Say you do find a perfect hygge cafe. Would you still go if the drinks tasted like fish though? I wouldn't. So I find the fish taste would just distract from the hygge. That's just me. Fireplace is not unique to Denmark though. Either candles, cozy company or snuggling with a cup of tea and a blanket on a stormy night. Danes however insist that hygge is uniquely Danish. 1/3 refuse the idea that hygge can be translated into other languages and believe that it is mostly practiced in Denmark. And we have another little diagram thing, so I'm going to quickly show that. I presume you can see because I can't see my camera now. So that's enough. That's enough looking at diagrams tonight, people. Until the next one, that is. Personally, I disagree with that. Danes are not the only ones who can have hygge or identify it. And other languages have similar expressions. The Dutch call it gezelligheid, and Germans talk of Gemütlichkeit, a sense of well-being based on good food and good company. And Canadians will recognise it as hominess. However, while more languages than Danish have similar adjectives for the noun hygge, it seems that only Danes use hygge as a verb, as in, why don't you come over and hygge with us tonight? This might be unique. What might also be unique for Denmark when it comes to hygge is how much we talk about it, focus on it and consider it as a defining feature of our cultural identity and an integrated part of the national DNA. In other words, what freedom is to Americans, foreignness to Germans and the stiff upper lip to the British, hygge is to Danes. Because of its importance to Danish culture and identity, the Danish language is also rich when it comes to talking about hygge. Danish is an infinite list of compound words. For example, I'm not even going to attempt to read that Danish word, but I will read its translation. Specialty, doctor, practice, planning, stabilising, period. Now in Danish days it's actually one full word. And if you don't believe me, I'll quickly show you. Look. Where was it? Just below my finger. Or above my finger, I should say. See? The word contains 51 letters and could be considered the golden goal of Scrabble. Gonna need a bigger board though. Hygge is no different. You can pretty much add it to any other word in the Danish language. You can be a hygge spreader, someone who spreads the hygge. Fana is reserved for family hygge, and socks can be labelled hygge sokker. At the Happiness Research Institute, we have a sign saying, "You're welcome to borrow some woolen hygge sokker if your feet are cold." That's nice. Although I would be wary of buying socks that are being worn by other people, but that's just me. And I'm back. Where do I go? That's none of your business. You concentrate on your own darn hygge, alright, people? And I'll concentrate on mine, especially you. You know who you are. You. Next part in the chapter. What's in a name? Shakespeare famously wrote in Romeo and Juliet, "What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet." I think his point applies to hygge as well. Danes are not the only ones who can enjoy the atmosphere, comfort and pleasure that comes from being in good company, in front of the fire and with some mulled wine. While an English translation of hygge into coziness may be problematic, as it loses a lot of important associations, we can find a variety of concepts more similar to hygge around the world. And there's a little map here. The Canadians have hominess. The Dutch have gezelligheid. The Norwegians have kostelig. The Danes, as we know, have hygge, and the Germans have gemütlichkeit. And we're about to get I'll show you a quick little map in case you don't know where those countries are. The orange ones. Gezelligheid from the Netherlands. Dictionaries tell us that gezelligheid is something cozy, quaint or nice. But to the Dutch, gezelligheid goes way beyond this. If you want to score some cheap points with the Dutch, go over what President Obama stated when he visited the Netherlands in 2004. He said, "I'm told there's a Dutch word that catches the spirit, which doesn't translate exactly in English. But let me say that my first visit to the Netherlands has been truly gezellig." The Dutch tend to use the word gezellig in a lot of ways. For example, drinking coffee at a gezellig cafe, meaning warm interior, flickering candles and a sleeping cat. Seeking shelter from the pouring rain at a gezellig bar that serves only vintage beers and plays old records is the purest form of gezelligheid. Sitting in a soulless waiting room for your appointment with the dentist is everything but gezellig, unless a very gezellig friend accompanies you. Are you starting to see the similarities between gezelligheid and hygge? I am. Are you? Even though the two are very similar, they are not completely alike. It's often emphasized that gezelligheid is a bit more social than hygge. To test whether this is the case, we carried out a small survey among Dutch people, and the results seem to back up this theory. On most of the indicators, it seems that Danes experience hygge the same way the Dutch experience gezelligheid. Concept is important in both cultures, and candles, fireplaces and Christmas are core elements in hygge and gezelligheid. However, the notion that gezelligheid has a more outgoing dimension than hygge is also supported by the data we collected. The majority of Dutch people, 57%, agree that you experience the most gezelligheid outside of your home, while only 27% of Danes find that it's most hyggeligt to go out. In addition, 62% of the Dutch agree that summer is the most gezellig season of the year, while Danes prefer autumn in terms of hygge. Kostelig from Norway. For Norwegians, everything should ideally be koselig. Yet again, do not mistake this word for coziness, say the Norwegians. More than anything, koselig is a feeling of warmth, intimacy and getting together. A perfect koselig evening will consist of good food on the table, warm clothes around you, a group of good friends and a fireplace, or at least some lighted candles. Hominess from Canada. Canadians use the word hominess to describe a state of shutting out the outside world. It implies a feeling of community, warmth and togetherness, but hominess also refers to things that resemble home or echo the feeling of home. Thus it has both a physical and a symbolic dimension. Describes how property can be homey if it's authentic and real, and how a situation can be homey if it somehow brings to mind a state of feeling, of seeking shelter and shutting out the outside world. So just like Hygge, hominess very much implies a feeling of authenticity, warmth, and togetherness. Gemütlichkeit from Germany. Germans use the word Gemütlichkeit to cover the state of warmth, friendliness, and belonging, and often to describe the atmosphere at a German beer garden. Visiting an Oktoberfest in Germany, you're even likely to hear the song Ein Prost der Gemütlichkeit, a toast to coziness. And before we finish tonight, because that's the end of tonight's video, I'm going to quickly show you a little chart here about Hügelig or Gezellig seasons between the Dutch and the Danes. And that bill concludes our reading for tonight. Now I hope you enjoyed yourselves, and I hope you've learned something. Because I did. Are you getting into Hygge, people? Let me know in the comments if you could. Would be nice. Might even start up a little conversation. But until next time, people, I hope that each and every single one of you taken care of yourselves, because I have. I am aware that in my last video I did come off a little bit sad towards the end. But I'm better now. I promise you that. I really am. And also, just want to know that I love each and every single one of you who's here with me on my journey. Okay? So until next time, people. Bye.